$170 million. That's the number. Court records show that's what you paid and will keep paying for a law passed with $61 million in bribes. Your bill went up $1.50 a month. The regulator found it was for a bailout. A bailout for a company. They called it a fee on your electric bill for a decade. So where did that money go?
You ever get a bill for someone else's mistake? Documents show First Energy called $108 million in accounting error. That error paid for lobbying for bribes, and according to the filing, PUCO let them pass it to your electric bill. So the real question is, how does that even work? Then there's the trial. Court records indicate the top guys faced money laundering charges, but before the jury even started, those charges were dropped. The rest ended in a mistrial, a hung jury. The regulator found no one was held responsible. Here's what the filing doesn't explain. PUCO waited years to investigate. Petitions are piling up, public hearings are scheduled, but who's really watching the watchers?
Back in 2019, your electric bill was pretty simple. Ohio rates were about 12.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Then the state passed House Bill 6. The stated reason was to save 2 nuclear plants. The law added a new charge to your bill, $150 million a year. But court documents show that wasn't the whole story. The bill also included something called decoupling. It guaranteed the utilities profits, no matter how much power you used. So even if you used less electricity, you still paid more. And according to an FBI affidavit, $61 million was used to bribe a state official to get the votes. The House Speaker was convicted of racketeering. But here's the part that doesn't add up. The nuclear bailout was repealed, but the decoupling charge stayed on your bill. And the regulator found First Energy had already taken $200 million a year from customers for a modernization that never happened. So the question is, who's paying for all this now? There's a document, not a headline. A federal audit report. The regulator found First Energy improperly classified costs. Money you paid for grid upgrades, routed to executive costs. The audit called it a material weakness. Then, 4 years later, the company asked for that money back. They went to Ohio's regulator, said, let us recover $108 million from customers as an accounting correction. The commission said no. They ordered $250 million in penalties and refunds, $180 million back to you. But here's the part that doesn't add up. The criminal trial, mistrial, hung jury, the charges dropped. So who actually pays?
You remember the promise? HB 6. They said it would stabilize rates, save jobs, keep the lights on. But let's look at what actually happened to your bill. According to the Ohio Consumers Council, if you're with the illuminating company in Cleveland, you paid an extra charge.
It's $1.30, $1.50 every single month from 2021 through 2023. That's the nuclear bailout charge born from the scandal. Now, that might not sound like much, but a 2022 report from Policy Matters Ohio put it in perspective. For a low-income household in Cleveland, electricity already eats 10% of the income. This charge was a direct hit to the grocery budget. The city council president testified about it. He called it a corruption tax. Money taken from medicine for rent. So where did that money go? Documents show it created a guaranteed revenue stream for the company above market rates. Your money locked in and the promised stability. The regulator's own data shows electricity prices for these customers kept climbing. So the city filed a petition. They're asking for a refund of those decoupling charges. But here's the question that hangs over all of it. How does a bookkeeping error, a so-called mistake, end up with you paying a corruption tax for years? You hear the word stable a lot, especially from people who write the bill. Back in 2019, the boss at First Energy told investors HB 6 meant long-term rate stability. Court records show the company later admitted to bribing politicians to get that bill passed. So that's the promise, stability. Here's what the documents say happened next. Federal auditors in a 2022 FERC audit found $108 million in costs that were, in their words, improperly classified. That's $108 million the company tried to put that on your bill. But the regulator, PUCO, in a 2025 order said no. They denied it. They also hit First Energy with $250 million in penalties, so the money didn't come from you this time. But here's the part that doesn't add up. According to U.S. Energy Information Administration data, your average electricity price went up from 12.41 cents per kilowatt hour in 2020 to 12.59 cents in 2023. So where did the stability go? The system is built to collect first and ask questions later. Utilities add fees to your bill called riders or decoupling adjustments. They don't have to prove they need the money up front. The regulator, PUCO, gets its funding from the very utilities it oversees. That $100 million error isn't a mistake in this system. It's a feature. So the real question isn't about one fine. It's about who's watching the money before it leaves your wallet. So what can you actually do? Start with your own bill. Look for a line item. It might say distribution modernization rider or decoupling adjustment. That's the money. That's where the costs get passed through. Then Go to the PUCO website, pucoohio.gov, search First Energy in the docket. You'll find the HB6 enforcement case, the November 2025 order, all the company filings, all the consumer group petitions. That's where the real fight is happening over what you pay. But here's the part that tells you who gets hurt the most. There's a federal tool, the LEAD tool from the Department of Energy. You type in your county, your census tract. It shows you what percentage of household income goes to energy bills.
The numbers are stark. Compare a suburb to an urban core, to a rural county.
The burden isn't shared equally. It never is. So the question becomes, who's really paying for those accounting errors?
So that money, the $170 million, documents show it wasn't just for 2 plants.
Court records indicate it paid for a whole system. A system where utilities write the rules and pay for the politicians who pass them. Then send you the bill with a regulator stamp. The regulator found that's how it works. Look at your last electric bill. Find a line item, a rider, an adjustment. Do you know what it's actually for? Do you know where that money goes?
This is my first video. I'm not a pundit. I just read the filings they hope you skip. If you're done paying for their mistakes, stick around so we can keep tracking the paper trail. Drop your actual rate hike in the comments and tell me which company or law I should pull apart next. I read every reply. Let's follow the numbers.